Alhamdulillah, in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful. Peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. My dear sister, if you feel alone right now, if people have walked away, if your heart feels heavy in the silence, then listen carefully. This is not abandonment. This is not failure. This is not Allah forgetting you. This is Allah preparing you. Sometimes the loneliest seasons carry the loudest lessons. Sometimes when Allah removes everyone else, it is because He wants your heart completely for Himself. What feels like isolation may actually be protection, purification, and elevation happening behind the scenes. Tonight, you are not here by accident. If you are alone, it may be because Allah is building something inside you that could never be built in noise. Lesson 1. Allah removes distractions before elevation. Sometimes the people around you are not meant to go where Allah is taking you. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, especially for a woman whose heart is naturally attached, loyal, and deeply emotional. You invest in friendships. You care deeply in relationships. You imagine futures with people. And when those connections begin to fade or suddenly break, it feels personal. It feels like rejection. But what if it is actually redirection? Before elevation, there is separation. This is a pattern you will see throughout life and even within Islamic history. Growth requires space. Transformation requires detachment. You cannot carry everyone into every season of your life. Some people are meant for a chapter, not the whole story. And when Allah begins preparing you for something higher, He starts removing what no longer aligns with your next level. Allah removes the wrong friendships that normalize gossip, comparison, jealousy, and distraction. He removes environments where your Eman feels weak and your standards slowly decline. He removes conversations that revolve around dunya, but rarely remind you of akhirah. At first, you may feel lonely without those voices around you. You may miss the constant notifications, the attention, the noise. But slowly, you begin to notice something powerful. Your heart becomes lighter. He removes unhealthy attachments that were taking more from you than they were giving. Sometimes you are emotionally invested in someone who was never meant to stay. You overlook red flags. You ignore signs. You make excuses. But Allah sees what you refuse to see. Out of His mercy, He separates you before deeper damage is done. What feels like loss is often protection. He removes the constant need for validation. When you are surrounded by people, it is easy to measure your worth through their reactions. You feel valued when you are praised. You feel insecure when you are ignored. Your mood rises and falls based on how others treat you. But Allah does not want your heart dependent on creation. He wants it anchored to Him. When the validation disappears, you are forced to confront a deeper question. Do I know my worth in the sight of Allah, or only in the sight of people? He removes emotional dependency because dependency on people eventually leads to disappointment. No human being can fill every emotional space in your heart. Only Allah can do that. The Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, taught us to place our ultimate trust in Allah, not in creation. When your heart becomes overly attached to someone, Allah may gently pull them away, so your reliance returns to Him. You cannot rise while holding on to what weighs you down. Imagine trying to climb a mountain while carrying unnecessary baggage. Every extra weight slows you down. In the same way, certain relationships, habits, and emotional ties keep you spiritually stuck. Elevation requires lightness. It requires clarity. It requires courage to let go. Solitude clears the noise. When the constant conversations stop, when the opinions fade, when the outside voices quiet down, something remarkable happens. You begin to hear your own thoughts clearly. You begin to reflect more deeply. Most importantly, You begin to hear Allah more clearly. Your dua becomes more sincere because there is no one else to turn to. Your salah becomes more focused because your heart is not scattered among people. Your growth requires space, and sometimes that space feels like loneliness. But there is a difference between loneliness and divine isolation. Loneliness feels empty. Divine isolation feels uncomfortable at first, but it is full of purpose. Allah is not emptying your life. He is refining it. He is not subtracting randomly. He is strategically removing what blocks your elevation. So if people are leaving your life, if circles are getting smaller, if you feel like you are walking alone more than before, do not panic. Ask yourself whether Allah is clearing the path for something greater. Sometimes the reduction is preparation. Sometimes the silence is training, and sometimes the distance is exactly what you need to finally rise. Lesson 2. He is building your emotional strength. A strong Muslim woman is not created in comfort. She is built in the quiet battles that no one sees, in the moments where she wants to break but chooses patience instead, in the nights where tears fall but faith remains. Emotional strength is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is not about proving something to the world. It is about mastering what is happening inside your heart. When Allah allows you to experience loneliness, disappointment, betrayal, or delay, it is not to crush you. It is to train you. Emotional strength is developed the same way physical strength is developed, through resistance. Without weight, muscles do not grow. Without emotional tests, immaturity does not grow. Many women are emotionally strong only when life is easy. They are calm when they are loved correctly. They are secure when they are constantly reassured. They are patient when things are going their way. But true strength appears when reassurance disappears, when love is delayed, and when life feels uncertain. That is where Allah begins shaping something deeper inside you. The Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, taught us that the strong person is not the one who overpowers others, but the one who controls herself when she is angry. This hadith changes the entire definition of strength. Strength is not emotional reactions. Strength is emotional control. Strength is the ability to feel deeply but respond wisely. When you are alone, you are forced to face your emotions without distraction. There is no one to vent to immediately. No one to validate your feelings instantly. No one to distract you from your thoughts. You sit with your sadness. You sit with your frustration. You sit with your fears. And in that sitting, something powerful happens. You begin to understand yourself. You start recognizing your triggers. You start identifying your insecurities. You begin to notice patterns in your reactions. You realize that maybe your anger comes from unhealed wounds. Maybe your anxiety comes from lack of tawakkul. Maybe your sadness comes from expectations placed on people instead of trust placed in Allah. This awareness is growth. Emotional strength means you do not allow every feeling to control your decisions. It means you do not send the message when you are angry. You do not make life choices when you are overwhelmed. When you do not lower your standards because you feel lonely. Instead, you pause, you reflect, you make dua, you think long term. Allah uses solitude to teach you emotional discipline. Discipline means you can feel pain without becoming bitter. You can feel attraction without compromising your values. You can feel disappointment without losing faith. You can feel loneliness without running toward what is harmful. Many times, emotional weakness shows up as desperation. You tolerate disrespect because you are afraid of being alone. You accept less because you fear no one better will come. You chase people who are not chasing you. But when Allah keeps you alone, He is removing desperation from your heart. He is teaching you that you can survive on your own. You can heal on your own. You can grow on your own. And once you realize you are capable alone, you stop settling. Emotional strength also means emotional stability. Your mood is no longer controlled by how others treat you. If someone praises you, you remain humble. If someone ignores you, you remain secure. If someone leaves, you remain dignified. Your peace is no longer fragile because it is no longer dependent on people. This is why loneliness can be a hidden gift. It forces you to build an internal foundation instead of relying on external support. When your foundation is internal and rooted in faith, storms do not shake you easily. Allah is not making you emotionally cold. He is making you emotionally intelligent. He is teaching you when to speak and when to stay silent, when to walk away and when to be patient, when to hold on and when to let go. A woman who has been emotionally trained by solitude is different. She does not beg for clarity. She observes actions. She does not chase closure. She finds it within. She does not react to every situation. She chooses her response carefully. That is strength. And when Allah finishes building your emotional strength, you will look back at this lonely season and realize it was not emptiness. It was construction. It was not abandonment. It was preparation. Lesson 3. Allah wants your heart attached to Him. One of the greatest blessings Allah can give you is not what He adds to your life, but what He removes from your heart. Because the real test is not who is around you. The real test is what your heart depends on. As a woman, your heart is naturally deep. You love intensely. You attach sincerely. When you care, though you care with your whole soul, you imagine futures. You replay conversations. You hold on to words. Your heart was created soft, but that softness can sometimes attach itself to creation more than the Creator. Sometimes Allah allows you to feel alone because your heart was leaning too heavily on someone else. You were thinking about them constantly. Your happiness was tied to their attention. Your peace was connected to their presence. Your confidence depended on their reassurance. Slowly, without realizing it, your emotional center shifted from Allah to a human being, and no human being was created to carry that weight. Only Allah deserves that level of attachment. The Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, taught us to place our ultimate trust in Allah alone. He reminded us that if the entire world gathered to benefit you, and they could not benefit you except with what Allah has already written. And if the entire world gathered to harm you, they could not harm you except with what Allah has written. This hadith is not just about destiny. It is about attachment. It is about understanding that hearts, outcomes, and futures are in the hands of Allah, not people. When Allah removes someone from your life, it may be because your heart was slowly depending on them more than it was depending on Him. You were checking your phone before checking your connection with Allah. You were seeking comfort in conversations before seeking comfort in dua. You were turning to people first and turning to Allah last. So Allah pulls you back, not to punish you, but to purify your heart. Attachment to people always carries fear. Fear of losing them, fear of being replaced, fear of not being enough, fear of abandonment. When your heart is attached to creation, anxiety becomes constant because people are unstable. Feelings change, circumstances change, promises break. But attachment to Allah brings stability. When your heart is attached to Allah, you understand that whatever leaves was never meant to stay. Whatever stays was written. Whatever is delayed has wisdom behind it. Your peace no longer collapses when someone walks away because your foundation is not built on them. Sometimes loneliness is Allah's way of detoxing your heart. He removes the constant messages so you can talk to Him more. He removes the distractions so you can reflect more. He removes the emotional noise so you can hear your own soul. And in that quiet space, something beautiful begins to grow. And your dua becomes more sincere because you realize only Allah can truly fix what hurts. Your salah becomes more focused because you have no one else to turn to. Your sujud becomes longer because that is where you feel understood without explaining yourself. When your heart starts attaching to Allah, you begin to feel a different type of security. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, it is calm. You wake up knowing that even if no one texts you, Allah is near. Even if no one praises you, Allah sees you. Even if no one chooses you, Allah has already chosen your path. This shift changes everything. You stop begging for attention because you know your value with Allah. You stop chasing love because you trust that what is written for you will not miss you. You stop lowering your standards because you understand that Allah is Al-Kareem, the most generous, and what He gives is better than what you settle for. Sometimes Allah keeps you alone so that your love for Him becomes stronger than your love for any person. Because when you love Allah most, every other love falls into its proper place. You will still love people, you will still care deeply, but you will not lose yourself for them. You will not compromise your faith for them. You will not destroy your peace for them. Your heart becomes anchored, and an anchored heart is powerful. My dear sister, if you feel alone right now, ask yourself gently, was my heart becoming too attached to someone? Was I seeking from creation what only the Creator can give? If the answer is yes, then this season is mercy. Allah is not emptying your life. He is reclaiming your heart. He wants you to know Him deeply. He wants you to rely on Him fully. He wants your tears to fall in sujood before they fall on someone's shoulder who cannot fix what is broken inside you. When Allah becomes your primary attachment, you become emotionally free. You can love without fear. You can give without desperation. You can wait without anxiety, because your core is stable. And when your heart is firmly attached to Allah, nothing in this world can truly shake you. Lesson 4. Isolation reveals your true identity. One of the most powerful things about isolation is that it strips away performance. When you are constantly surrounded by people, you naturally adjust yourself to fit expectations. You speak in ways that will be accepted. You behave in ways that will be praised. You present the version of yourself that feels safest in that environment. And without realizing it, you begin living through reactions instead of living through conviction. But when Allah places you in isolation, all of that slowly falls away. There is no audience. There is no applause. There is no one to impress. And suddenly, you are left with yourself. This can feel uncomfortable at first, because many people do not truly know who they are outside of roles. You may know yourself as someone's daughter, someone's friend, someone's potential spouse, someone admired in a group. But who are you when none of those titles are active? Who are you when the phone is silent and the room is quiet? Isolation forces you to answer that question. When you are alone, you begin noticing your real thoughts. You begin seeing your insecurities without filters. You begin recognizing habits you used to ignore. You see where you are strong and where you are fragile. And this awareness is not meant to shame you. It is meant to refine you. Many women build their identity around being wanted, around being needed, around being chosen. So when those things are removed, it feels like identity itself has been shaken. But Allah does not want your identity rooted in who chooses you. He wants it rooted in who you are in His sight. You are not valuable because someone desires you. You are not important because someone praises you. You are not complete because someone stays. Your worth was defined long before any human entered your life. Isolation peels away the layers of external validation so you can rediscover your intrinsic value. You begin to realize that you were seeking confirmation from people for something Allah already confirmed through your existence. You were chasing reassurance when your creation itself was proof of purpose. In isolation, your weaknesses become visible. Maybe you notice how easily you get attached. Maybe you see how much you fear abandonment. Maybe you realize you compromise too quickly to keep people. These realizations can be painful, but pain in awareness is better than comfort in ignorance. Because once you see clearly, you can grow intentionally. Isolation also reveals your strengths. You start noticing how resilient you actually are. You survived days you thought would break you. You handled silence that once terrified you. You found ways to comfort yourself through dua and reflection. When you stood back up without anyone holding your hand, there is power in discovering that you are stronger than you believed. The Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, spent time in seclusion before revelation. In the cave of Hira, away from society, away from noise, away from expectations, preparation was happening. Isolation was not emptiness. It was formation. It was clarity. It was strengthening. When Allah isolates you, He may be doing the same for you on a personal level. He is allowing you to confront yourself without distraction so that your foundation becomes solid. Because if you do not know who you are alone, you will constantly reshape yourself to fit whoever is in front of you. A woman who has never been alone often fears being alone. That fear can lead her to stay in places she should leave. It can cause her to accept less than she deserves. It can push her to hold on to relationships that drain her. But once you survive isolation, the fear disappears. And when fear disappears, your standards rise. You stop asking, will they choose me? You start asking, are they worthy of entering my peace? Isolation builds self-respect because it shows you that your peace does not collapse in the absence of others. You learn to enjoy your own company. You begin investing in your growth. You set routines. You develop discipline. You reflect on your goals. You strengthen your relationship with Allah. Slowly, your identity shifts from being externally defined to internally grounded. You no longer change your personality to avoid rejection. You no longer shrink yourself to keep someone comfortable. You no longer overextend yourself to maintain approval. You become consistent, stable, rooted. Isolation also teaches accountability. Without people to blame, you examine your own choices. You ask yourself where you ignored red flags, where you rushed, where you tolerated what you should not have tolerated. This self-accountability is not self-hatred. It is maturity. Growth begins when excuses end. In isolation, you build a private version of yourself that is strong even when unseen. Your character becomes real, not performative. Your worship becomes sincere, not influenced by who is watching. Your standards become personal, not social. And when Allah later brings people into your life, they will meet a woman who knows who she is. A woman who does not seek identity through them. A woman who stands firm in her values because she has already faced herself in silence. Isolation reveals who you are, but more importantly, it reveals who you are capable of becoming. It removes the masks, it removes the noise, it removes the distractions, and what remains is the raw foundation of your character. From there, Allah shapes you intentionally. So if you are in a season where your circle feels smaller, where your world feels quieter, understand that this is not a pause in your life. It is a process of discovery. Allah is allowing you to meet yourself without interference. And when you truly know yourself, no one can define you incorrectly again. Lesson 5. He is protecting you from what you cannot see. One of the most comforting yet difficult realities of faith is this: Allah sees what you cannot see. He knows what is hidden behind smiles. He knows what is written in the unseen future. He knows the consequences of paths you are begging to walk. And sometimes, when He keeps you alone, it is not deprivation, it is protection. As a woman, when something or someone leaves your life, your first instinct may be to question yourself. Was I not enough? Did I do something wrong? Why did this have to end? Why did that opportunity close? Why did that relationship collapse when I wanted it so badly? But what if the very thing you are grieving was quietly being removed to save you? Allah is Al-Alim, the all-knowing. His knowledge surrounds what has happened, what is happening, and what would have happened if things continued. You only see the surface. You only see the emotions of the present moment. You do not see the future arguments, or the hidden character flaws, the spiritual damage, the emotional wounds that were waiting ahead. Allah does. Sometimes you are attached to someone who looks perfect from the outside. Their words are sweet. Their promises are strong. Their attention feels comforting. But Allah sees what is inside their heart. He sees intentions you cannot read. He sees habits you have not yet discovered. He sees weaknesses that would slowly harm your peace and your Iman. So He removes them early, even if it hurts you temporarily. That pain may be mercy in disguise. Think about how many times you wanted something desperately and later realized it would have been a disaster. How many times you prayed for a specific outcome and did not receive it, only to look back months or years later and feel grateful it did not happen? At the time, you felt rejected. Later, you felt protected. Protection does not always feel gentle. Sometimes it feels like loss. It feels like silence. It feels like doors closing without explanation. But protection is not always soft. Sometimes it is firm and immediate because delay would cause deeper harm. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ taught us that what has missed you was never meant to reach you, and what has reached you was never meant to miss you. This understanding changes your perspective completely. It means that when someone leaves, they were not written for your long-term journey. When something falls apart, it was not meant to complete you. There are dangers you will never know about. There are heartbreaks you were saved from before they even began. There are humiliations you were shielded from. There are toxic dynamics you were removed from before they fully revealed themselves. Allah protected your dignity before it was compromised. He protected your faith before it was shaken. He protected your future before it was damaged. Sometimes Allah isolates you because the environment around you was slowly pulling you away from Him. The conversations were normalizing what should not be normalized. The relationships were weakening your standards. The constant noise was distracting your soul. You may not have realized it, but your spiritual health was declining quietly. So Allah intervened. Intervention can feel like interruption. You may have felt ready. You may have believed you could handle it. But Allah knows your limits better than you know yourself. He knows which tests would break you and which ones would build you. So when He removes something, it is measured, it is calculated, it is intentional. There are also times when Allah protects you from becoming someone you were not meant to be. Certain relationships change you. Certain environments reshape your behavior. Certain attachments cause you to compromise values you once held strongly. You start justifying small wrongs. You start accepting subtle disrespect. You start lowering your expectations in the name of love or fear of loneliness. But Allah did not create you to shrink for someone else's comfort. When He keeps you alone, He may be preserving your character. He may be protecting your self-respect. He may be guarding your heart from developing patterns of insecurity and dependency that would be difficult to break later. Protection also includes timing. Sometimes you want something before you are ready for it. Marriage, success, influence, responsibility. But if it came too early, it could overwhelm you. It could expose weaknesses you have not yet worked on. It could magnify insecurities you have not yet healed. So Allah delays. Delay is also protection. If you entered certain blessings without emotional maturity, you might sabotage them. If you stepped into certain roles without spiritual strength, you might lose balance. So Allah uses solitude to strengthen you quietly before He exposes you to greater responsibility. There is a type of protection that saves you from others, and there is a type of protection that saves you from yourself. Sometimes your loneliness is protecting you from impulsive decisions. When you are emotionally attached, you may ignore red flags. You may rush commitments. You may invest deeply without clarity. But when you are alone, you are forced to slow down. You reflect more. You analyze more carefully. You build discernment. Discernment is protection. Allah may also be protecting the person meant for you. If you were to enter the wrong situation now, it could complicate your path toward what is truly written for you. Every misaligned attachment delays the right one. Every unnecessary emotional entanglement leaves scars that affect future relationships. So Allah clears the path in advance. You see emptiness. Allah sees safety. You see isolation. Allah sees preservation. You see loss. Allah sees rescue. If you truly believed that Allah's knowledge surrounds everything, your grief would soften. You may still feel sadness. You may still miss what left. But deep inside, you would trust that there is unseen wisdom protecting you. My dear sister, not every closed door is rejection. Some are divine barriers preventing you from stepping into harm. Not every silence is abandonment. Some are shields guarding your heart. Not every ending is failure. Some are redirections towards something purer. When Allah protects you, He does not always explain Himself immediately. Faith means trusting His wisdom even when clarity has not yet arrived. One day, the reasons will become visible. The things you cried over will make sense. The people who left will no longer feel like losses. You will see how certain paths would have led you away from peace. You will understand how certain attachments would have drained your faith. Until then, hold on to this certainty. Allah does not remove without reason. He does not separate without wisdom. He does not isolate without purpose. If He is keeping you alone right now, it may be because what you do not see would have harmed you more than this temporary loneliness ever could. And sometimes, the greatest mercy is the protection you never even realized you needed. Lesson 6. Preparation happens in private. One of the greatest misunderstandings about growth is that people think it happens publicly. They think elevation begins when the world sees you. They think success starts when doors open, when opportunities appear, when someone finally recognizes your value. But in reality, the most important transformations never begin in front of an audience. They begin in private. Preparation happens in silence. Before Allah elevates someone publicly, He refines them privately. And before He gives responsibility, He builds capacity. Before He grants influence, He strengthens character. And before He brings the right people into your life, He works on you when no one is watching. As a woman, your private season can feel invisible. It can feel like nothing is happening. You may look at others and feel like they are moving ahead while you are standing still. You may feel delayed, overlooked, or forgotten. But what looks like stillness is often construction. Think about how Allah prepared the greatest people in history. Maryam, peace be upon her, worshipped in seclusion before she was chosen for one of the most honored roles in history. The Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, spent time alone in the cave of Hira before revelation began. Those private moments were not random. They were preparation. Isolation builds depth. When you are constantly around people, it is easy to stay distracted. Noise fills the space where reflection should happen. Conversation replaces contemplation. Entertainment replaces evaluation. But when you are alone, you are forced to face your thoughts. You begin to analyze your habits. You start questioning your patterns. You reflect on your relationship with Allah. Private seasons expose what needs to be corrected before elevation. Maybe Allah is working on your patience. Maybe He is strengthening your discipline. Maybe He is teaching you emotional control. Maybe He is healing wounds you have been ignoring for years. If He were to elevate you without healing you first, your unaddressed weaknesses could destroy the very blessing you prayed for. Preparation is uncomfortable because it feels slow. In private, no one claps for your small improvements. No one sees the nights you choose prayer over overthinking. No one sees the messages you type and delete because you refuse to act emotionally. No one sees the tears you wipe away before sleeping. But Allah sees every silent effort. And the private effort is what shapes your public strength. When Allah prepares you in private, He is building sincerity inside you. Your worship becomes real because it is not influenced by who is watching. Your character becomes consistent because it is not performative. Your discipline becomes personal because it is not for praise. There is a difference between being impressive and being prepared. You can impress people with charm, appearance, and words, but preparation goes deeper. Preparation builds integrity. It builds resilience. It builds stability. And these qualities are not developed in comfort. They are developed in quiet struggle. Many women want the blessing without the building. They want the marriage without the maturity. They want the success without the discipline. They want the platform without the patience. But Allah, in His wisdom, understands that giving you something before you are ready can harm you. If you are not emotionally stable, certain relationships will overwhelm you. If you are not spiritually grounded, certain opportunities will distract you. If you are not confident within yourself, certain attention will inflate or destroy you. So Allah delays. He isolates. He refines. In private, you learn to sit with yourself. You develop hobbies, goals, and routines that do not revolve around others. You strengthen your relationship with the Qur'an. You build habits of consistency. You learn to regulate your emotions instead of reacting impulsively. You practice self-control when no one is enforcing it. That is preparation. You may not realize it now, but this private season is shaping how you will handle future blessings. When the right person enters your life, you will not cling desperately because you have already learned to stand alone. When success arrives, you will not become arrogant because you remember the lonely nights that shaped you. When challenges appear, you will not collapse because you are strengthened in solitude. Preparation in private also protects your intentions. When you grow quietly, your goals become clearer. You stop seeking validation and start seeking purpose. You stop chasing attention and start chasing alignment with Allah's pleasure. That your ambitions become cleaner, your desires become more balanced. And when elevation finally comes, it will not change you. It will reveal you. A woman who has been prepared in private carries a different presence. She is calm. She is measured. She does not panic when things shift. She does not rush when emotions rise. She does not compromise easily. Why? Because she has already done the hard work internally. Preparation also builds trust in Allah's timing. When you are alone for a long period, you are forced to surrender control. You realize that no amount of anxiety can rush what is written. No amount of comparison can change your timeline. Slowly, your heart learns patience, and patience is not passive. It is active trust. Active trust means you continue improving even when outcomes are unclear. Young, you continue praying even when answers feel delayed. You continue refining yourself even when no opportunity is visible. That consistency is what prepares you for what is ahead. The world celebrates visible wins. Allah values hidden growth. The world praises public success. Allah rewards private sincerity. Do not underestimate what is happening in this quiet chapter of your life. You may not have the relationship yet. You may not have the recognition yet. You may not have the breakthrough yet. But if you are becoming stronger, wiser, calmer, and closer to Allah, then you are not behind. You are being built. One day, when Allah opens the door you have been waiting for, you will walk through it as a different woman than the one who first prayed for it. You will carry more wisdom, more self-respect, more discipline, more trust. And you will look back at this private season and realize it was never emptiness. It was preparation. It was shaping. It was strengthening. So if you are alone right now, do not waste this season. Use it. Build yourself. Heal yourself, educate yourself, strengthen your Iman, refine your character, create routines that elevate you, develop standards that protect you. Because when Allah decides the preparation is complete, the elevation will come in ways you did not expect. And when it does, you will not just be blessed, you will be ready. Before you close this reminder, my dear sister, understand this deeply in your heart. If Allah is keeping you alone, it is not because you are forgotten. It is because you are being formed. The world may not see your silent growth. People may not understand your distance. But Allah sees every tear, every resisted temptation, every night you chose patience over panic, every moment you chose dignity over desperation. Nothing in this season is wasted. The loneliness is shaping you. The silence is strengthening you. The delay is protecting you. And when the time is right, Allah will replace your isolation with elevation. So do not rush the process. Do not chase what Allah removed. Do not lower your standards out of fear of being alone. Trust the one who is preparing you. Because when Allah builds a woman in private, He elevates her in ways no one can compete with. May Allah strengthen your heart, purify your intentions, and grant you a future more beautiful than anything you lost. Ameen. This is the Eman chapters. If this reminder touched your heart, carry it forward. Share it with a sister who needs to hear that her loneliness has purpose.